Hi, welcome to the September episode of Voices from the Hill. I'm State Senator Michael Rodrigues, and I'm honored to be joined by my colleagues in the Greater Fall River Legislative Delegation, Representative Paul Schmid, Representative Alan Sylvia, and Representative Carol Fiola, just to talk to you about the issues that we're working on, what's happening in our community, and what's happening up on Beacon Hill. But September, so you know, the summer is winding down, and we've had a very busy summer with a lot of cultural events. The Great Feast of the Holy Ghost, which I understand broke all records this year. Hundreds of thousands of people just concluded. And
they were blessed with the weather, weren't they?
Yeah, beautiful weather.
Probably some of the best weather.
Yep, perfect weather, great crowds. Everything went off without a hitch. It was another great example of what can happen with a lot of hardworking volunteers that put, you know, they're already starting to plan for next year's events. And we had on Saturday the great Bodie Late parade, which we all had a good time at. It's the most fun of all the parades. It was over 3.5 hours long. And then, of course, on Sunday after the Mass is the solemn procession recognizing the Holy Ghost, the Espiritu Santo.
Yes, and we were really honored with a couple of guests, and I'm going to have some help after bringing the subject up. A woman who is the president of the Azorean Assembly.
Yep.
That is correct.
Can you help me with her name?
Sure. Her name is Ana Luisa Luis. And Ana is the president of the Assembly of the Autonomous Regional Government of the Azores. In American parlance, it's Speaker of the House. And very nice, lovely woman. Her first time to America.
She was just a delight to meet, and for me to also hear from her that you know, there are a lot of women in Portugal in high leadership positions, and she is really a woman on the move, someone who I understand has, I think the government has a lot of plans for her. We talked about raising a family and the challenges of serving in public service and raising a family. But she was just wonderful, and it was a pleasure to be in her company throughout the weekend. You talked, though, about the weekend success, and Mr. Silva and his committee, Mr. Joe Silva, and the Holy Ghost Feast Committee. But do you know what's interesting that I learned last night, or again, we're in September, but you know, we taped this in August, that the event, as you said, went off without a hitch. Not one arrest. I talked to Deputy Chief Cullen last night. Not one arrest.
Yeah.
Not a hiccup. And that bodes well not only for the feast goers and the organizers, but certainly for our public safety and the city administration for really putting every precaution in place and allowing for such a great time.
Whenever there's thousands of people in a community, and especially when we look at other communities like the neighboring communities, New Bedford, and the problems that they've had lately.
They've had some problems.
To have hundreds of thousands of people visiting from all over the world to be in Fall River and not to have an incident, violent act or crimes committed around the feast is very important.
I think a lot of the credit does go to the city, the public safety, Lieutenant Deputy Chief Cullen and his team, and also the feast organizers that keeps the focus on this feast of what it really is. It's a solemn feast, it's a religious feast, it's a feast to celebrate the Holy Ghost, and not to turn it into a carnival atmosphere. So even though there were hundreds of thousands, literally, of attendees, they were there for a common purpose. And it did not attract the type of crowd that other type of events or festivals or carnivals could attract that might be folks that don't have the same purpose.
You know, one of the things that I found so interesting when we were at that legislative breakfast on Sunday morning at the TA was how they have gone through so much effort to keep the culture alive, to keep those traditional events that they did many years ago at the feast, to bring them back and to keep them going. You know, the serving of the sweetbread and the milk, and how people try to do away with some of those.
You know,
Those
you're
are
right,
important.
Representative, and you talk about those cultural traditions that we're so used to here in the city of Fall River because of our fine, strong, for example, the Portuguese community. But one of the things that President Ana Luisa Pereira Luis said was that their main focus in the coming years, and our listeners should really, this will resonate with them, is to make sure that the younger generation, those who were born here perhaps, who have parents or grandparents that came over from, in particular, the Azores, from here in Fall River, that they connect with their culture. And that's the purpose when they come here. When they came here this weekend, there was a delegation of people, the bishop from the armed forces, Bishop Lindo, and others. They want to try to make sure the younger generation of Portuguese American youth still preserve a little bit of that culture. And that's special. It
Because
really
we're
is.
losing some of that. You know, you see churches and parishes close. You know, we see some of our Portuguese parishes closed. We lose some of that cultural tradition, and it would be a shame to lose that. So that's why it's important to keep that, that culture alive, and it's the young people involved.
I hear a lot of those conversations. We had we march in a lot of feasts, attend a lot of feasts and march in a lot of processions. But at the Santa Cristo feast,
Same issue.
same people, and you see them year after year after year. You know, all these years I've been marching, it's the same faces, the same organizers. That's a challenge to get
Yep.
the young second, third, and sometimes even fourth generation now, as my children are, interested in participating. But it takes two. I mean, they also have to be welcoming. Sometimes it's difficult for the old timers. I don't mean to welcome in the new blood. But there are many out there that are concerned about it. So,
Also at the breakfast, and by the way, many thanks to Frank Baptista for sponsoring a really wonderful breakfast. But there was another honored guest, and again, you're going to have to help me with her name. She is a member of the Portuguese Parliament, and she represents all overseas Portuguese.
Right.
And
her name
please
is
help
Mary,
me with her name.
Her name is Mary Jo Avila, and Mary Jo is an Azorean immigrant. Her family immigrated to New Jersey.
That's where
She
she
came
lives.
here
That's
when
where
she
lives
was
now.
13.
Yep.
Yeah.
She came to America when she was 13, immigrated to New Jersey, and she is elected by the diaspora, by the Portuguese community in North America, to represent them in Parliament. And she's a member of Parliament.
Which is interesting.
She's interesting. She's a real dynamo.
She is. And that was two special women that were here, and they were the leaders of the Azorean delegation that was here to participate in Fall River. So it was great.
Right. So
I was
it was a lot
thrilled to
of
see
fun.
that.
We were
represented.
overwhelmed by all of that
I know.
activity that morning.
It was a lot of action, huh?
Busy action, but it's been a great summer. The weather's been tremendous, and so much activity going on. And
But the summer's over.
the summer's just
And
about
I
over.
just
The
can't
best-
believe-
September's the best month. Though.
I know, September.
September's
Here
my
we are in
favorite
September,
month.
and we're looking at hurricanes, and it feels like summer lasted a week because we've been so busy. And
We were
doing
so
things.
busy, and
No
now
beach.
now it's election season. So to all the viewers, make sure September 9th, although this is airing all of September. So, but on the 9th of September is the state primaries. Very important elections for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, treasurer. They're up and down the ballot. State legislators were all on the ballot for the primary elections in September and for the general elections in November. So
November 4th, it'll come right around the corner.
I
And
know there's a big impetus. I know there's a lot of people registering to vote now. There's a lot going on that spurred interest, but make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you go out and vote
And
in September.
just to add to that, because there's so much at stake in November with the ballot questions, and it's important that people become a bit educated as to those questions and what they mean and how to answer them. Because there's at least 4 that I'm aware of: casino gaming, gas indexing,
Bottle bill.
the bottle bill, and earned sick time. So those are all issues that are going to affect you and your family for many years. So please read and please be sure to vote on those issues, because if you don't vote, someone's going to decide for you, and it shouldn't be that way. We've always had very low numbers, some of the lower numbers in the Commonwealth here in Fall River, and there's no reason for that. We were just talking about the Portuguese population. So many years we were trying to get the Portuguese population that became Americans to vote. And now we're starting to see an increase in those numbers as the younger people are registering to vote. But if you're not registered to vote, you have some time, of course, before the general election to do that, right up and through mid-October. So please register to vote, and please, it's so important. If you haven't, you can register by calling any one of our offices or going to the 6th floor of the Government Center, the Election Commission office, and it takes 5 minutes.
Now,
Very
also, if I could point out, Rep. Sylvia, you're absolutely right. And those of you who say, I'll be away on September 9th, or I'll be away on November 4th, again, very simple. There's an absentee ballot application. One of us could get it for you, or you could go to the 6th floor. Right now, there's still time to actually go up to the 6th floor and vote for the primary election. You can, right now, up until the election, you're not going to be around, you're going to be out of town. You can go up and vote right now, and just prior to November 4th, there'll be a couple of weeks that you'll be able to go up and vote as well. So we certainly understand the significance as elected representatives of this community, and we know how important it is. And as the rep said, the issues are critical as well.
Yes, and in addition to the ballot questions, and we've talked about this before, but the issue of the governor's race is going to be very important to the South Coast because of South Coast Rail.
Yeah.
Very
And in February of this year, we all voted to appropriate the money to reconnect Fall River and New Bedford with the economic engine of New England, Boston. So the money has been appropriated, and the present governor has, in fact, I think, spent close to $300 million replacing the ties south of Taunton, rebuilding 3 bridges in Fall River and one in New Bedford.
Yep.
And we have now, as of this summer, let out the design build contract. So we are actually making progress
Moving along.
on this, but
And real progress. And I have to credit Governor Patrick and his team, because he's the only governor, he's the 5th governor I've worked with, but he's the only one that really did it right, that ensured for the first time that we have a fully state and federally permitted project, that we've got all the permits necessary to construct this rail from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, from the Environmental Protection Agency, along the myriad of all the state agencies. So the permitting phase is done. Now we move to planning and construction. And as Rep. Schmidt said, we've released a contract. We have VHB, a tremendous engineering and consulting firm under contract to lead us, to guide us, and to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's as we do our planning and construction into that phase. So the real money, the real capital expense, the real construction costs are probably going to happen 3 to 5 years down the road, and that's when we're going to need a partner in the corner office to ensure, because it's going to be real money. You know, it's now we're not talking hundreds of millions, we're talking billions, and that's a lot of zero, folks. So we need someone that's going to be committed to this project to ensure that it moves forward.
You know, we can't say that enough. Thank you, Senator and representatives. You've been hearing about this longer, or as long as you've heard about the new bridge that is completed and built and you're using today. But South Coast Rail is real today as a result of these years of work. But who our governor is matters, and we can't keep repeating that enough, because the governor pretty much solely decides whether he or she will release the funds for more construction. And he or she could say nope, or they could say yes, just like this Governor Patrick has done.
And let me say,
as much
since
as he
the
could.
big dig, there's been no region of the Commonwealth that has seen more transportation dollars than southeastern Massachusetts. Whether it's the Veterans Memorial Bridge to Somerset, you can't drive through the 195 corridor or the Route 24 corridor or the Route 140 corridor and see nothing but construction happening everywhere. Repaving, bridges being replaced, overpasses being replaced. Never mind the so-called spaghetti ramp, the Route 79 project, which is a mega project. That rolled into the completion and the rehabilitation of the Braga Bridge is close to a $300 million project, and it's been going tremendous. Very shortly, you will be hearing about another public hearing. When that project started 2 years ago, I pledged that I'd work with Mass DOT, that we'd have regular public hearings and presentations. We had some at Bristol Community College. Lately, we've been having them in the amphitheater auditorium at Heritage State Park. And there will be one coming up shortly, so that the public can know what to expect as we enter into the fall, into the winter, what has been completed so far, which we all have eyes, we can see how much has been completed. It's been tremendous. And what the next phases are.
I think it's important that I like to give credit to all of us sitting here, because if there's no, you say a lot of work being done on the South Coast, it's because of the pressure that we keep on them. They're sick of hearing from us, but we stay on the issues of the waterfront. DOT is constantly on the phone with us, constantly working with us.
Yeah.
And those folks are incredible to work with, but they know that we're constantly there. South Coast Rail has moved along because of what we've done. We
And once
pushed
again,
them.
I have to give
Gene
credit
Fox, those folks.
to Governor Patrick and
Yeah.
his administration, because he put people in place that really believed in communication and cooperation. And we've never had a better relationship with our local Mass Highway administration based in Taunton. It's called District 5, that has 81 cities and towns that they're responsible for. But we have regular meetings with them, regular communication. The team led by Barletta Construction that's doing the construction work
Incredible company.
incredible.
Well, you're absolutely right, Senator. Just a brief example. And again, for you all, what it means to you driving around is, wow, what's going on? You see the construction, but the work that goes in behind the scenes, any little issue we have, we literally have the head of the construction company's cell phone number, Howard's, and we just call up. He says, "Hello, Representative. How are you?"
Yeah.
And then we suggest that we talk about what the issue is. Something needs to be cleaned up here, or something has to be done there. Absolutely. We just had a new business open up on the waterfront in Fall River, the Cove, and those of you who've been there know how special it is. But that could have been a disaster, because here was a local company spending $3-4 million to open up a restaurant, a business, right in the midst of the largest construction project going on in the Commonwealth right now. So that could have been a disaster, but they could not have been more cooperative. Regular meetings on the street,
And that's
leading up
because
to
of
the
your good
opening.
work. You did a lot of, and that's what people don't know.
In our districts,
I think people don't know that, it's happened, I know to all of us. I know that Representative Schmidt's been on the phone with them, but even a sign, a crosswalk on Milliken Boulevard. I've gone down there with the engineers.
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts. Well, I went and sat in Dunkin' Donuts with Mr. Karam to look at how we're going to redesign. We had the engineer to talk about how we're going to redesign that stoplight. Now, you would think we wouldn't get involved in that, but that's the level of involvement and that's what most people don't understand, how important that is, because they know we're there to make those requests, and it would be a shame not to deal with those issues. And they're really constituent and commercial business, like the Cove, to make sure that these projects get done right.
Well, we don't want a business to fail
no.
before it started, and so we bring them
important.
together, we bird dog them, and I'll say one other thing about this delegation, and we've talked about it before to you in several of these programs, but I'm the new kid on the block. It's been not quite a year for me yet. The end of this month, it'll be a year that I've served as a state representative, and I can only tell you it has been an amazing, amazing journey. And one of the things, outside of working in my district with great people like you, has been working with this team to my left. When I say to you, and we say to you, working as a team is so much better than working alone, it's true. Many of you have come up to me and all of us and said, you notice we work together, and that seems a little, maybe not as brand new, but a little newer. we really enjoy working together. We all have the same mission, and I'm honored and hope to continue to work with the three of you. Certainly Pat Haddad over in Somerset, speaking of, oh, look at this. Look at this.
We just
Look,
love you,
We do. We
Representative
love you.
Farrell.
And you know what, though? This is what it's about, and this is what you don't see day to day. We work hard, and we try to have a few laughs, but we're grateful to all of you for allowing us to do this.
And we are very lucky to have the leadership of Speaker Pro Tem Pat Haddad from
Incredible.
Somerset, and she really rounds out the team.
Yeah.
And
We are blessed. We're
we
blessed
are
in a lot of
fortunate
ways.
to have a person in such a leadership position as part of the Greater Fall River team. We were talking about the Cove and the rebirth of the waterfront, and
right,
that
yeah.
leads me to think about the great success New Bedford had this summer with the Charles W. Morgan coming back, and how New Bedford used that occasion to really rebrand the city, and from all accounts, it's been very successful. They had 3 times the number of visitors that they have had before. Lots of economic activity in the downtown. And of course, we have an opportunity next summer.
And I believe it's coming.
Next summer the focus, the regional focus, will be in Fall River. This summer it was in New Bedford with the Morgan. Next summer will be at Battleship Cove. It's going to be the 50th anniversary of the Battleship Massachusetts, the Big Mamie, coming to Fall River, and it's scary because I remember sitting
So
in
do
Kennedy
I.
Park.
I sold tickets, I was 12 years old.
watching
Gee, you're way
watching
older
the
than
ship
me.
come
I
in. So it's getting scary that was 50 years ago, but under the leadership of Brad King, who's the executive director down there, and we as a team secured $10 million in the environmental bond bill to renovate the Joseph P. Kennedy that needs to get into dry dock like we did with the Massachusetts a decade ago. The focus is going to be on Fall River, on Battleship Cove, on the waterfront, on the 50th anniversary of.
It's gonna be
of
exciting.
And
Battleship Cove.
how exciting is that? So for you all watching, be aware, we've been working behind the scenes, offering any assistance we can. Of course, the senator mentioned the $10 million we secured, but there's going to be festivities going on along this waterfront next summer that we hope will rival any other community's waterfront festivities. So if you have an idea or an interest, they will be in August. Lots of details to be released as they, as it seems fit. But if you want to get involved, if you want to volunteer, if you have an area or an interesting idea, you know how to reach us. You know how our phone numbers, our emails, what have you. But this should be an exciting time. The community leaders that thought to bring the Battleship, the Big Mamie, 50 years ago to Fall River.
Thank you, Jack Data.
Yeah.
Thank you, John
John
Feiderberg,
Feiderberg, yeah.
Joe Feiderberg.
The whole crew.
Thank you all
The
that
school
team.
children throughout the Commonwealth that gave their pennies.
Pennies.
So there'll be lots of fun. So plan August, not to go away, and we'll tell you the dates in one of our next shows. And be sure you tell your family members from out of town and tell everyone that they're not going to want to
There'll be
miss
hundreds
it.
of thousands of people
Yeah.
coming to Fall River next year, and it's it's a tribute to our veterans as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is the largest fleet in the country that have the battleship group there. Some of the things that we've heard that they have planned will be quite incredible. And
We talked about the cultural of the Portuguese community, not forgetting their culture. Well, the same thing. Our World War II veterans are dying, and we're losing a generation. And so it's so important to keep the battleship here and to make sure that it's a resource to our young people as well, to remind them.
what an education
Yeah.
to be able to go. If you haven't had a chance to see that Pearl Harbor experience, please take your children there to see that. The history of that era is so important.
And being September, I think we should talk a couple minutes. It's another milestone. Schools are reopened. Our students are back in school. I had the honor, it was yesterday, but now it was last month, to be with Speaker Pro Tem Haddad yesterday as we cut the ribbon for the brand new Somerset Berkeley High School.
Beautiful.
Blew my mind away. After the ribbon cutting, we had a tour that was close to 2.5-hour tour to see the resources that the students in Somerset and Berkeley are going to have. I just can't wait until we can provide those resources for our new Durfee High School here in Fall River.
Yeah.
And we also opened, I was at the opening of the new Argosy Charter School.
Beautiful.
And we have the Landis Charter School started their high school this year. So there's a lot happening with our traditional public schools, with our charter public schools, with our everything. You know, schools are open. All the construction here happening at Bristol Community College. It
Yeah.
was fun driving through the parking lot with the new science building being built, with the new solar canopy being built out in the parking lot. But something we're going to work on and continue to work on with Mayor Flanagan and Superintendent Meg Mayo Brown is Fall River's statement of interest for a new high school.
Yep.
Now, it's hard to believe because we still call the Durfee the new Durfee, but the city of Fall River had applied and submitted in a letter, a statement of interest for what's known as emergency grant support from the Mass School Building Assistance Program for new roof, new windows, new doors, new HVAC, heating and cooling systems, and it amounted close to $100 million. And when the SBAB did their due diligence and sent their engineers and consultants down, they said, no, we're not going to spend
Yep.
$100 million renovating that school when we could build you a brand new state-of-the-art school for about the same amount of money. Even if you were to do all those programs and projects, you still have a school that structurally has so many problems. So that's going to be a big issue going forward, something you'll be hearing a lot about because it's not going to be cheap. The state will probably pay close to 90% of the project, but it's still going to be a good nut to crack for the city of Fall River to come up with their share of the funds. So something we'll be working on, something that's needed. We owe, after seeing Somerset and Berkeley High School, and when you get a chance, you've got to walk through this. See
Whenever you walk into a new school, even
technology,
Morton, to go
it just
through Morton now,
And we want
They're-
our high school kids to have the
their
same, of
foreign
course.
learning center. They have a whole center to.
I
you
saw
know, it's
some
not
of the photos.
Skype,
I was amazed.
But it's a foreign learn. So you could have a lecturer from a school in Spain, from South America.
Skyping.
With all this technology, every single classroom has got not only whiteboards, that's already old, it allows every student's laptop to tie into
We're
the
so
board.
blessed in this
It's just
country and
unbelievable.
in the Commonwealth to have an educational system as we do. And, you know, we're talking about pre-K, and we're going to be talking about that in the next legislative calendar.
Yep.
You know, we're looking at things here that other countries don't have, other communities do not have. And when you see what's happening,
And to have
so
to use
fortunate.
technology, the Argosy Charter School, all 105 students, every single student in that middle school has a laptop.
I know.
You know,
That's amazing.
that's interactive, so they can all work and communicate and work together. That's what the 21st century is all about. And you know, so it's an investment. It's not an expense, but it's an
Absolutely.
investment in our future to provide those resources for our students.
And Senator, I just wanted to remind everyone in terms of education, it is back to school. You'll be seeing a little red empty chair being marketed around the Fall River community. We don't want to see empty chairs in the school. Children need to be in the schools to be learning. And that campaign I know is going to be kicking up, and the business community and the educational community saying, let's not see empty chairs. Let's make sure our children and your grandchildren and children get to school every day, because they can't learn if they're not there.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think,
And we,
a little message.
the time just flies. We have to
out
go.
of time
Please enjoy
already.
this beautiful fall weather. Enjoy the harvest festivals that are going to happen around the communities. Enjoy your families. Good luck in school, and don't forget to vote in November.
Thank
We'll
you.
be back in
Please vote.
October.
Take care. Thank you.